Yo, it's your boy, Theo. I'm really fucking disappointed in John McIntosh. I am still waiting for another Steven Universe video, and he is withholding. He's withholding a video, and, I'm fucking disappointed. I'm fucking pissed. I thought he would fucking come through and be like, hey guys, fucking Steven Universe, he predicted Trump would win and all this kind of shit. I thought he would do a Trump video, and he didn't. He went on a tangent on Twitter, but I don't want to fucking go through Twitter anymore. Fuck Twitter. But let's watch this. He did another video for Anita Sharkgirl. 5 ways men can help end sexism. So let's see how we can do our part, guys. I think it's time for us to step in and end sexism once and for all.
For many men, it can be hard to know exactly what role we can or should play in working towards an end to sexism.
Okay.
How can men help, and how much or how little should we be helping? In this video, we will explore answers to those questions and share a few suggestions about how men can respectfully approach feminism and, critically, explain why it's beneficial for men to be involved. First things first, because there's so much misinformation about feminism floating around out there in the cultural ether, it's useful to quickly define what that term actually means.
Okay.
Feminism is a socio-political movement with the central goal of ending sexism and dismantling gender-based oppression.
Okay, that's what Jonathan McIntosh comes down. Let's look at what Google says. The advocacy of women's rights on the grounds of political, social, and economic equality to men. I agree with this definition more. I like this definition way more because it has equality in it right now. It's talking about that equality. Thumbs up to that. Thumbs up for equality. And it's advocacy of women's rights on the grounds of political, social, and economic equality to men. So see, it means that it's equal. That feminism is about equality. A-okay, I'm with that. I'm for this. I'm for this feminism. Here is a social political movement. Social political movement with the central goal of ending sexism and dismantling gender-based oppression. I like the other one more. It's more welcoming. This is more kind of like, whatever.
Oppression. So contrary to common misconceptions, feminism is not about man-hating or female supremacy.
No shit. I mean, but the way that Anita goes about it, people can get tricked into thinking that. And people like Anita. I mean, a lot of people get tricked into thinking it's about this because they have such a strong voice that wants to change everything for no reason. Just.
It's important to note that the feminist endeavor, as it's been defined by women like Bell Hooks, does not simply seek equal access for women within current systems of power, but instead seeks to transform those systems and the values associated with them.
Okay,
so where do men fit into all of this?
Okay, come on.
Well, women have long been pointing out the ways in which men can benefit from feminism, and actively calling for men's participation in working towards ending sexism. As Bell Hooks writes in her landmark 1984 book, Feminist Theory from Margin to Center,
okay.
Like women, men have been socialized to passively accept sexist ideology. While they need not blame themselves for accepting sexism, they must assume responsibility for eliminating it. Men are not exploited or oppressed by sexism, but there are ways in which they suffer as a result of it.
We suffer because we have to when we make a video game or whatever, we have to be careful what the video game has because it might be oppressive or sexist. Armika's butt slap was super sexist, guys. I know I keep talking about Armika's butt slap, but it's so sexist that it stays in my mind. So I'm just glad we got rid of it because imagine if they kept a polygon that slapped his butt. Fucking insane, right? Look, all men need to do to end sexism is to treat women like people. Everyone needs to treat people like people, but demanding respect is not how you get to that. Demanding all these things, demand people to take things more seriously. He's on a channel where Anita complains about video games. Video games aren't serious. These aren't serious issues. Video games are not serious. They're fucking video games. Yeah, they tell a interesting story, and they do in some way are taken more seriously than, or as seriously as movies. But at the same time, you have to remember they're fucking video games. Like movies, they're media. They're forms of media. If you don't like how they depict a woman, make a story you want to see and set an example of that. But when you try to have token characters in a movie like Ghostbusters, the new one, the reboot, it falls flat on its face and it doesn't really stand up. The new Ghostbusters could have been better if they just had to be like either a passing of the baton type movie, or if these characters were actually well written characters, but they're not. To me, the issue of the new Ghostbusters wasn't that, oh, it's female Ghostbusters. That wasn't the issue I had with that movie when I saw it. When I saw it, the issue I had with it was the characters were terribly written, the humor was garbage, the story was garbage, everything in that movie was not working with each other. It was just kind of like trying to fit a circle in a square peg. I mean, it's fucking not gonna work.
That bears repeating. Men are not exploited or oppressed by sexism. But there are ways...
Yeah, But if a man dares to make a video game, they can't have Bayonetta type characters, okay? Lollipop Chainsaw, get rid of that. You're not oppressed, okay? But don't make games that'll piss SJWs off. But you're not oppressed.
Ways in which we suffer as a result of it. We are taught early on that boys don't cry. That to show sensitivity or emotional vulnerability...
Boys don't cry. Fuck off. Fuck off with that. Get out of
is a sign
here.
of weakness.
A sign of weakness. His parents are dead. You're telling me that Bruce Wayne never cried about his parents being dead? Are you fucking for real, John? I know you hate fucking Batman for whatever reason, but I'm willing to put money down that Batman cried about losing his parents. I'm willing to bet that. But boys don't cry, of course. Yeah, fuck off.
Men are discouraged from practicing nurturing, caregiving, compassion, and compromise for the same reasons.
But he hates Batman. Just go to his shitty-ass channel, the Pop Culture Detective Agency, and you'd be convinced that Batman fucking raped his ass. Because he hates Batman with such a strong emotion.
So there's an enormous amount of pressure placed on men to prove our manhood.
Yeah, okay.
By acting tough, projecting strength, and repressing our emotions.
Okay.
This is compounded by the fact that men are often more
Call of
admired
Duty
for being aggressive, dominant, and violent than for being cooperative.
Showing a fucking commercial from Call of Duty, yeah, okay.
Vulnerable and empathetic. Not only is all of this damaging behavior encouraged in individual men, but those same values are also reflected in our larger political and military institutions, often to disastrous effect. So while men as a group are afforded gender-based privileges at the expense of women, a byproduct of patriarchy is that it also causes real harm to men's well-being.
Yeah, okay, sure. Oh, now we get to the 5 tips. Okay.
Okay, so if we're on board with ending sexism, what specifically can we do as men to be helpful? Here's our quick list of 5 tips for respectfully engaging with feminism as men.
1. Listen to women.
Listen to women.
Okay.
Now that might seem really obvious, but far too often men have a hard time just listening to what women have to say.
Yeah, we need to listen to what this woman has to say, guys. We really need to listen. Because just because you listen and you might not agree with them doesn't mean you're listening.
And respecting women's knowledge and experiences. Because of the way we're social...
But what if their knowledge and experiences are garbage? Like, Hillary has experience in the government, but she has poor judgment. So does that mean that we have to listen to Hillary Clinton say things that... I mean, we do have to listen to her in the sense that we have to know what she's talking about in order to form an opinion of her, to be fair, obviously, but it doesn't mean that she has good experience or that we have to respect her experience. Like, she makes poor judgment calls. That's why she did not win the election.
To think of our voices as most important, men have a tendency to interrupt and interject ourselves into conversations.
I'm sorry, but I've seen women also interrupt people as well. Don't interrupting is not a men trait. It's a people trait. Everyone interrupts people. I'm sorry.
And then to dominate those interactions. This behavior is so ingrained that men often don't even realize we're doing it, which is why it's critical to learn how to take a step back, to try not to interrupt, and instead actively listen and absorb what is being said before responding.
Yeah, shut up and listen.
Now, of course, this does not mean you have to agree with everything every individual
Oh,
woman
okay.
says. No one person's perspective can ever represent all of feminism or the experiences of all women. It simply means
Like
that we,
Anita.
as men, are not in a position to define feminism for women, and that we should actively pay attention to women's voices, because for so long, women's experiences, women's perspectives, and women's ideas have been dismissed, ignored, and silenced.
But what's the context of that? There might be a reason why they're ignored and silenced because maybe their ideas are fucking garbage. Just listen to women. Just have a conversation. See how that goes. I mean, obviously, you should be more open to ideas, but it's just,
It's especially vital to
whatever.
listen to women of color, particularly black and
Why?
indigenous.
Why is that especially? Like, oh, especially these people. Like, they're all worth listening to. Just say like, this whole thing could have been like, listen to women. Just listen to them, let them talk, listen to what they have to say, and there you go. That's all you have to say. You don't have to be like, what? But especially this.
Women. Because, as feminist scholars have long pointed out, sexism is compounded when it's combined with racism and other forms of
Oh,
oppression.
yeah, of
Back
course.
in 1989, Kimberly Crenshaw coined the term intersectionality as part of her theory to describe these layered
Uh,
experiences that leave some women more disenfranchised than others.
Educate yourself
It's
before you
important
wreck
for us as
yourself.
men to acknowledge that when we talk about feminism, we follow the lead of women. Yet while feminist ideas do originate with women, that does not mean that it's the responsibility of every woman to teach all men about sexism. So we shouldn't go around interrogating or demanding answers from women. Instead, we should be proactive in doing the work ourselves by committing to continuous lifelong learning.
But But what if I'm asking a woman to educate myself? So you're saying that I can't ask them? I have to, find other ways to inform myself. I mean, yeah, you can inform yourself multiple different ways, and that's fine. But what if I want to get, directly from a woman's perspective? You just said to listen to them. Now you're saying, well, they do not have the you can't demand answers from these people. You have to educate yourself. Like whatever.
Lucky for us, over the past century, feminist scholars have written volumes on the topic. So here are some suggested readings about feminism and how patriarchy operates as a social system. Feminism is for Everybody by Bell
It
and
isn't
Patriarchal. Edited
going
by
through
more
this.
academic language, check out Masculinity. The place where men can be most helpful in regards to feminism is first within ourselves and then amongst other men. Patriarchy encourages men to buy into sexist thinking and at the very least remain complacent in sexism through our silence. So instead, step off the path of least resistance and dare to make yourself and other men uncomfortable about sexism. Let the other men
Yeah, yeah, be that dick that goes that you be having a conversation about whatever and then become like that's sexist and don't fucking say that or again, you fucking bully. Yeah, just do that, see where that goes. It's fine to bring up if you're like, oh, I think this comes up as sexist or I don't like how this looks, that's fine. But like you don't have to shame people for thinking for the thing. Like, to me, I think it's garbage that Capcom removed the butt slap that Armika had. I'm still fucking pissed off that they got rid of that. Because it's like she's a fucking wrestler. You can't censor wrestling. Come on, man. We're in 2016 and we're censoring butt slaps. Okay.
around you know that their sexist behavior is not okay. For example, when you stand up and say that a sexist joke is not funny, the men telling that joke can no longer be assured that they will go unchallenged the next time they tell it. In other words,
Someone tell a joke that is not funny. That's sexist. It's like you gotta say, dude, that joke's not funny. I mean, you come off as a dick or whatever. Just whatever. You don't have to be like that's sexist. Let's get all political up in here about this one joke.
those men can no longer count on other men to accept or go along with their sexism.
Yeah, just fucking shame him for that joke.
Interrupting the sexist status quo is a simple yet powerful way that all men can make a difference.
Okay. Don't get
If you make a
defensive.
comment and a woman
Don't get defensive. Okay.
dismisses or disagrees with you, don't take it personally. She doesn't owe you anything, and her disagreement does not necessarily
Yeah, if you disagree, don't fucking just stop let her say her piece and let that be. Don't try to rebuttal the argument just because it came out from her mouth. Don't fucking get defensive, but get all offensive on your friend that said a joke that's sexist. Get all offensive there, but don't get fucking defensive. Don't try to rebuttal an argument. Just let her have the last say and let her win the argument. Okay.
mean that she's angry or frustrated with you as an individual. That being said, it's completely understandable for women to express anger about sexism. Sexism should make everyone angry.
But it's fine, but if someone says this is sexist and I say no it's not, that's not me getting defensive, that's me participating in a conversation saying no, I don't think that's sexist because of this reason. Do you not know how a conversation works? Like, I get more conversations out of a DSP fan that says DSP is funny because of this, and then I say I don't think he's funny because of that. There you go, that's a conversation. People can have conversations, John. It's okay for someone to say that's sexist, as it's also okay for someone to defend why that thing is not sexist. That's how you solve a problem. If you just say, well, she said it's sexist, so it must be true because she said it's sexist, and she's a woman, so she must know that it's sexist. What kind of thinking is that? That's like me saying, well, I can say what a white male looks like because I'm a white male. But if anyone else says otherwise, they don't know shit because they're not a white male. That makes no fucking sense, John. Everyone has a right to express an opinion on something. Just because that a woman says that's sexist doesn't mean that's the end-all be-all fucking opinion that everyone has to agree with. That's fucking stupid. Come on.
After all, most women have some first-hand experience with violence, or harassment, or mistreatment at the hands of men.
Yeah, men don't feel that way. Bullies don't exist. Bullies only bully women, they don't bully men. They don't. Facts for sure. No man who gets bullied or harassed in any way, shape, or form has no experience on harassment or being attacked regardless. They are not to be taken seriously. Only women get fucking assaulted. Fuck you, John.
Sometimes even men who claim to be allies. So don't get defensive if
Don't
women don't want to engage with you. And remember that it's definitely not our job to police the ways that women may choose to speak about sexism or their experience.
But police people on how they tell jokes and how they talk. But not if it's a woman that's saying that something is sexist. That should be respected, listened to, and agreed with. Don't get defensive about it. Don't say it's not sexist and all that. But get fucking offensive when people say that's sexist or say a sexist joke. Get offended on that and attack them and shame them for that. But don't fucking shame a woman for saying that something might be sexist when it might not be sexist at all. Words to live by.
Men's support for feminism should not be seen as some kind of favor to women. As we've discussed, dismantling the system of sexist beliefs benefits people of all genders. And moreover, men shouldn't expect a reward for deciding not to participate in a terrible system of oppression. Or, as many feminists have said before, you don't get a cookie for being a decent human being.
Whatever. Learn from mistakes, something that these people don't do. So
It's really hard to break years of socialization overnight, so messing up is inevitable. I've certainly made my fair share of mistakes.
yeah, like making this video, making your own channel, taking Patreon money, he makes less money than DSP. That's fucking sad, guys. I just let's go to his Patreon. Let's go to his Patreon. Let's see how much money he's making. Oh, look, $1.99. Oh, man, 63 patrons, and he makes less money than Phil. Oh, poor John. Oh, man, he's not even getting close to anything. Oh, poor John. Maybe that's why he's not making videos anymore. No one fucking gives a shit about his dumbass opinion.
The key is what you do next. We always have a choice in how we respond to our mistakes. So be humble, examine your own actions, acknowledge failings, and continue to learn how to be better and more supportive. Sexism is not necessarily something always done consciously. It's something we're socialized to think is normal, and as such, it's something we often participate in without even meaning to.
But, like, he is making in this video. He's just saying blindly accept that everything's sexist, and call it out, and then but don't have a conversation about it because people should just blindly agree. So his answer to people who are blindly accepting the sexism is to blindly accept to being anti-sexist or being a feminist and all that kind of stuff is by doing the same thing he's bashing, just on the other side of the fence. That really, John? What kind of argument is this? What kind of argument are you trying to persuade people from this video? Is to end conversations? Don't fucking think about other things. Don't try to participate in a conversation about sexism and to see if the claim is true or not, and come to the conclusion to that fact by having a conversation with people who don't see it the same way you do. Are you what?
This is why challenging ourselves and reflecting on our own actions.
But how can you challenge yourself if you're not open to getting into a conversation about it? If you are saying that we cannot defend a claim or to rebuttal against a claim that comes out as being defensive, if we can't do that, then how are we going to challenge anything? If we're just going to be blindly accepting what someone says because, oh, she's a woman, she must know about sexism? John, women, like men, are humans. Humans have this thing called opinions and perspectives, and some of these perspectives are either misguided or tainted or wrong that you are just demonstrating in this very video. So how can I look at this video and blindly accept your statements if I am asking questions and getting defended and being defensive about your fucking video, saying how badly it is and how badly informed it is and how misguided you're leading people into thinking that people should not question things. If someone says something is sexist, you have to question that. I don't see how Mika slapping her butt is sexist. I don't see how that is. Because one, she's a polygon woman. Two, she is a wrestler. Wrestlers are like a fucking like chauvinistic kind of like show-offy type personalities. Watch the WWE. Does any of them look modest? You have men wearing like fucking like Speedos or whatever with ripped pecs and all this stuff, doing all these like sexualized motions. That's not sexist. But when you have a female wrestler in a video game with a authentic costume, it's an authentic wrestling costume. I'm sorry, guys. And you know, having her slap her butt, how is that sexist? How is that sexist? It's not. You just claim it is because she happens to have a good figure and the camera pans from her butt up. But who fucking cares where the camera goes? She's a polygon. It's not that she's like, I didn't want I don't know. There's no fucking rape or assault going on there. She's a wrestler, she fights, and there you go. But according to John, when a woman says that's sexist, we have to listen to that and we have to agree with that and we can't get defended and rebuttal that argument. Okay.
Is a vital step in the process. But remember to be compassionate and patient with yourself and keep working at it.
How can I be compassionate or like patient with when I watch a video like this that is just this arrogant, condescending tone? John, you're talking to your viewers as if they're fucking 12-year-olds or they're 2-year-olds. Talk to us like a fucking adult, and don't fucking say that we have to listen to women and not question things or not have a conversation. Look, I'm not saying that women have no perspective. Like, if a woman, to the people who are saying that what Armika does, like the butt slap, is sexist, look, if you have a good reason, that's your reason, and feel free to vocalize that reason. But if I say that I don't think it's sexist, that doesn't mean that I'm sexist. That just means that I don't see it that way. I do see when people complain about, like Ghostbusters to me, the new one, is a sexist movie. Because you don't have well-written female characters that are well-rounded and or they feel like genuine characters. They feel like they're token characters. They feel like that they're there because they're women. And to me, I sat there and I felt offended by that because it's like, we are in 2016 and we have a movie that is pushing an agenda that has no well-written characters. All the male characters happen to be written as fucking idiots, and the women are written terribly. Terribly written characters. And you know, the thing that pains me the most is Melissa McCarthy has done good movies. She's kind of a two-sided person. She does good movies and she does a lot of bad movies. But You know, she's whatever. Leslie Dog, I think that in the movie she was okay. I kind of enjoyed her character, but as a person, when I see her in Saturday Night Live, when I see her on Twitter, it's just like, what the fuck happened? But this movie is so agenda pushing, and it comes off as sexist to me because it's sexist for both genders. It's not a feminist movie because I refuse to believe that feminists are this fucking dumb and arrogant that they think that we have to be little men to achieve this equality. Because a lot of women have been pushing these movies like, well, see, man, this is how it feels like. But it's like, yeah, but you're also having these poorly written female characters that don't come off as well written, believable characters. So it doesn't really prove anything. It's the most offensive piece of shit I've seen all year. Come on.
By no means an exhaustive list of advice, but it should give you a place to start. Now, if you're feeling a little uneasy at this point, that might actually be a good sign. As men, the process of honestly re-examining our own assumptions and questioning our participation in sexism will often feel uncomfortable. But remember that even though we as individuals didn't create the system of patriarchy, it does manifest itself in almost every aspect of our lives, which means we do have a responsibility to challenge it. We must always recall our potential for positive impact in the world, and be involved in this work not out of personal guilt or shame, but because,
but you're shaming people when you whatever.
In this video, the desired outcome is ending gender-based oppression and making the world a better place for people of all genders, including men.
But you're solving this end gender oppression by using oppression, because if you're saying that we shouldn't question what women say. If a woman says something sexist, we have to blindly agree with that. That is oppression, John. You're using oppressionistic tactics to end oppression. That's not how you solve a problem. You're creating another problem with that. That's the whole thing with these SJWs that people hate about them. Is that they're not solving problems. They're creating problems. They're taking a okay thing to say that, oh, this is sexist, I don't like this, whatever. They're taking this thing that people are okay with having it as a conversation, and they're pushing it in a way that comes off as an oppression, and it's forcing people to change the product that they're selling. The fact that Capcom and Blizzard had to censor their games because of these SJW babies is fucking insane. And that is oppression, because you're oppressing these developers for making a game a certain way that they want to make it, because it offends you. Oh no, polygons! A polygon butt! That is gonna make people so fucking sexist that Tracer has a pose that shows her butt. Oh my god! Come on, fuck off. Alright, that's the end of that. Thanks for watching this video. This is a bonus video, I guess. I'll just call it a bonus video. See you guys in the next one.